Hello and welcome. This is Jackson, and in this video, this is going to be the first video in a tutorial series which is going to be showing you how to use Unreal Engine to make your own video games. So we're going to be covering a lot of stuff as this sort of goes on. We're going to start very basic. We're going to start assuming that you know absolutely nothing about Unreal Engine or video game development, and in this video today I'm going to show you the basics from launching the engine for the very first time to showing you where everything is, how to build your own virtual environments, and how to start like programming some gameplay and things. We will be covering different topics in videos as they go along. We'll be releasing maybe a new one every week, or a couple a week, or every couple of weeks. Not really sure yet. We're gonna see how we go. And if you're following along with this at home, so to get started, what you'll need to do is download a version of Unreal Engine. So today we're going to be working Unreal Engine 5.4.4, but there are newer versions of the engine. It doesn't really matter too much. Things might change just a teeny bit from different engine versions, but if you want to work in the same engine version as me today, the one that you want is 5.4.4. You can download that for free online. And this screen here that you're seeing right now is what's called the Epic Games Launcher. So there's a little tab down here on the left. If you download the Epic Games Launcher and Unreal Engine, you'll be able to launch Unreal Engine from the big button up in the top right up there. There are other ways to launch the engine as well. This is probably the easiest. Up to you. The second thing that I will say is that this tutorial series is designed for, or it's evolved out of learn game development sessions that we've been holding locally at Gamers Resort in person. We're shifting them to online sessions now, so everything's recorded like this so that you can watch them in advance, you can revisit ones that you might have missed, etc. And then basically the idea is that you can watch the videos here and learn it and try it out and do the exercises and things, and then when you've got questions you can come into the in-person sessions and I'll be there to help you out and troubleshoot your questions and etc. If you don't have a computer that's powerful enough to run Unreal Engine, like video game development software can be quite intensive on your computer, so sometimes you need a pretty powerful laptop or a powerful graphics card and CPU and things in your computer. So they can be quite expensive. So if you don't have access to that, the one thing that I will suggest is that you make use of the computers at Gamers Resort. So they've got 8 computers in there with specs that are good for gaming. The game development software can be a little bit more intense than actually running the games itself. So sometimes the computers, they can be a little bit laggy depending on the type of environments that we're building, but still it's better than nothing. So I just want to draw your attention to that as a possibility. If you don't have a computer, you can use the ones at Gamers Resort and they've got Unreal Engine installed on them. So without further ado, let's launch the engine. So I'm just going to go up here and just click launch Unreal Engine 5.4.4, and once that's open, yeah, we're gonna dive in and have a look at how to do some basic stuff to just get started, and then I'll set you a little task or assignment / like challenge thing at the end to put your skills to the test and see if you can build something that is playable and that you can show to people. So this is the launcher. These are all my different projects that I'm working on my computer right here. As you create your own projects, they'll start to appear in there. But basically what you want to do is, if you go over to this games tab, this is where we get templates for different games that we want to make, so we don't have to do everything from scratch. The point of using a game engine is so that you don't have to program absolutely everything from the game up, is that you use software that's been developed by people for previous games. In particular, Unreal Engine was made for a game called Unreal a long time ago, and it has things like the lighting, different character movement, and whatever that you can use for a lot of different games that you don't have to program yourself. So on top of that, we've got first person templates, third person, top down, vehicle, virtual reality, etc. And as you can see on the left over here as well, we've also got templates for things like architecture, simulation, automotive design, like etc. But today we're going to be working in games. We're going to start with a third person template, And just down here you can see we've got a few options here. So there's different things for quality, blueprint, blah blah blah. Starter content, I'm going to show you how to add that manually in just a sec, so I'm just going to leave that blank. And you just got to give your project a name, so I'm just going to call this beginner Unreal tutorial, beginner Unreal toot, okay, or beginner Unreal, and then just click create. So that's how you create your very first project. Now if you're doing this on your computer at home, obviously everything's going to be stored on your computer. If you're using Unreal Engine on a computer at like a internet cafe or a venue like Gamers Resort, chances are any data that you might have worked on during your session will be wiped at the end of the session. So if you're doing game development at Gamers Resort right now and you want to save your work from the day, what you'll need to do is plug in a hard drive to the USB port of the computer, and then once you're done doing your work, transfer your Unreal Engine project to the hard drive and then take that home with you for next time. So I'll show you how to do that in just a moment once we actually build something to transfer. So you can see that while this is launching, it's doing this thing down the bottom here, which is just compiling shaders. This is basically, this will always happen the first time you boot up a project, and it can take quite a while. It needs to do that, and then after you have done that and you launch the project the next time, it's usually a lot quicker to load. So we're just gonna give that a minute. It's done the shaders, doing some other stuff, boom 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 boom, there we go. So this is Unreal Engine. This is the very first thing that you'll open the engine to. Now just to quickly show you the controls, just so you can see, this here is the viewport. If you hold the right mouse button, you can look around in here. What I will do is I am gonna make a bunch of different I'll make a little cheat sheet of all the different hotkeys and things that you'll need to use to look around and navigate the viewport. So just to quickly show you the important ones, right mouse button looks around like this. If you right click in here, and then you use W, A, S and D to zoom around. So this will take a little bit of practice if you're new to this. You can move up, down, left, right. So this is E and this is Q to move up like that, and then W, A, S and D to fly. To change the zoom speed, you want to scroll up or down with the middle mouse wheel, so you can see that's a lot faster. And then if I scroll down, you can see it gets a lot slower. So scrolling up, scrolling down. Okay, and you can see up here, this little number here, that's the camera speed. So you can see that changing as I scroll the mouse wheel. So that's how you look around. Now the next thing I'll show you is the play button. So this is the scene that you're using. This little guy here, this little gamepad controller thing, this is what's called your player start. And if I hit this play button up here, the big green button, you can see we spawn inside the game, and if I click in the viewport, we've already got a character we can control. So this comes with the third person template. This is what I was showing you at the start when we were looking at the different templates. You can already run around, you can already jump with the spacebar, and this is basically already a playable game. Everything's rendering, you've got a good FPS, you've got controls, you've got input, you've got some abilities, you've got an environment, etc. And now to get out of that, you just press escape and close, and that is basically the third person template and a playable game already. So what I'll show you how to do first is just how to add stuff to your little scene here to make different levels and things. Now this map here, this is a third person template map, as you can see just there. This just comes with the template, but if you wanted to create a new one, you just go up here, File, New Level, and then you've got a few different options. You can build an open world one, you can have an open world empty one, or a basic. I'm just going to go the basic one. It's probably the easiest to work with. The open world one gets a little bit more advanced. So now you can see we've got an empty map, and we can jump in and press play, and we've got a player in the middle with nothing in it. So this is unsaved at the moment, and so I'm going to hit Control and S to save it, and I'm just going to create a new folder inside of this here. This is all the information related to our project, and I'm just going to call this Maps. Double click in there, and I'm just going to call it My Test Map down the bottom, and then save it. So now this is our very own level. Now this is the player start, like I was saying, and we've got an empty place now that we can start to build stuff. So just to show you how to add stuff into the scene, what you want to do is if you right click in your viewport just like this, and then you hit Control and then space, this opens up what's called your content browser down the bottom, and inside this is where you get access to different shapes, everything, sounds, shapes, particle effects, anything that is related to your project that you can use for, you know, placing in the scene or using for data storage or programming or whatever. It's all located down in here. And so over here you might have this filters tab where you can search for different things that are inside your content folder. It might not look exactly like mine here, yours might look a little bit different, but basically what you can do is if you right click in that filters tab, and then you can check the different things that you want to have a filter for. So a good one to have here is just static mesh. So if I added that and then scroll down here to static mesh, you can see, making sure that you've got you could have the all folder selected, and you can see there's a bunch of different static meshes here, or you could have your content folder selected and see some more basic ones. I might click on the all one and then just drag this up so that you can see all these different shapes that we've got that have just come with the engine. So basically, if I scroll down and find one that I like the look of this thing here. If you hit Control and then zoom the mouse wheel, you can zoom in a little bit so that you can see them a bit more clearly. I'm just going to drag that in, and you can see we've got our first shape in the scene. And so these arrows here, Z moves up like that, Y moves this way, and then X moves that way. So you can adjust the height like that. You've got some snapping settings up here, so if you set that to 100, you can see it only moves 100 units apart. This is your rotation settings. So E is how you rotate, the letter E. This allows you to rotate it like that on the X-axis or the Z-axis, the Y-axis, whatever. And you can change the snapping for the rotation up here, just like that. So now you can see this is rotating 45 degrees. So that's the E key, and then the R key is scaling. So you can scale them up and down like that. And then if you want to go back to just moving them, you hit the W key, and then you can move them just like that. Now, I like to get in the habit of saving, so whenever I've edited everything, you can see there's a little asterisk up in the top left there. So that means it's unsaved. I'm just going to go Control, Shift, and then S to just save everything. So that's saved now. And as you can see, we can go in here, we can walk around our little obstacle. Can we jump on it? Probably not, because it's a bit too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create just a second one. I could drag it in from down here, but I'm just going to show you a little trick. If you hit Alt and then go to move it, it's going to create a copy like that. And now I'm hitting R. I'm going to scale it down so that it's a nice size. And then I'm going to grab this little side bit here. So as you can see, the colors highlight like this. So this is the Y-axis, this is the X-axis. If you grab the little line connecting between them, you can scale both of the axes together at once. So that's what I'm going to do to get this little shape. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to turn my snapping back to 50 and just scale that up so that it's a nice size there. And then Control Shift S to save, play. Now we've got a little thing that we can jump on. It's a little bit hard, but you get the idea. Okay. So that's the basics of placing stuff in the world. You've got all these assets here to play with. Anything with the light blue little icon, you can just drag and drop. What I will quickly show you how to do. So turning off the static mesh filter now. So what I'll show you how to do now is just add some more what we call starter content to the engine, so that you've got more stuff to play with rather than just these boring shapes here. So these are all the ones that come with the project. You've got a cylinder, a ramp, and a cube and whatever, but that's pretty boring. So if we hit Control Space to open the content browser, I'll just turn off any filters that we've got there. And then if you go to this add button and then go add feature or content pack, and then go across to content, you can see we've got this little one called starter content here. So I'm just going to add that to the project now. And you can see on the picture there, oh, it's gone now, but basically there was a bunch of different things. So now I'm going to hit close to just close that. We can close that, and then Control Space again to open this. You can see we've got the tab down the bottom here in the content browser. So open that up, and there's a bunch of different stuff in here: shapes, props, particles, etc. So you can have a look through these at your own time. These are different audio cues. So for example, you got explosions, you got fire, music, etc. So all just different stuff for you to play with in the engine. So that's audio. If we have a look at architecture, we've got some walls. So you can see here that's a window. We've got we've got a wall and a door here, so you might want to, you can build some different architecture using these, so you can walk through here and look through the windows, etc. If we go back out to the starter content, go to materials, you can see these instead of having the blue bar under the bottom, they've got the green bar, and so the green bar is telling you this is a material rather than a static mesh, and the little sphere is just showing you what it looks like. So if you drag one of these onto one of the meshes, you can change the material of one of the meshes. So this is where you start to get into customizing your scene, customizing the look and feel of your scene. So yeah, you can see that's how that goes. If you wanted to make the ground grass, for example, just drag the grass onto the bottom. So now we've got a little bit of an outdoorsy kind of look and scene, and there's lots of different ones in here. You got a rock slate, so we could use that for the floor, for example. And maybe we could use, no, that checker dot's a little bit ugly, I don't like that. Maybe we could use, I don't know, why don't we try like rock for the for the walls. That's kind of ugly as well, but anyway, gives you some stuff to play with. Anyway, so if we go back out to the starter content, and then so it looks like they've got some example maps, so the orange ones are maps, so you can double click them to open them up and have a look at them. Maybe we'll do that quickly, so let's just open up starter map and see what's in here. It might take a little moment. Hopefully my computer hasn't just crashed. Okay, so technical difficulties. My GPU just crashed trying to open that level. That will happen with Unreal Engine quite a lot. It does crash. If it does, you can just restart it. This is why I recommend saving your work often, because yeah, crashes are just basically inevitable. So that's just something to keep in mind. And so continuing where we went off, as you can see, we're back in the third person map because that's the one that opens by default whenever you open the engine. So if we go back into our content folder and we go to our folder where we created maps and open up our test map by double clicking it, you can see we're back to where we were before, and we can run in and play and everything like that. And so now, just to continue where we left off, if I open the starter content folder again, we had a look at materials, we had a look at maps. You can see there's different particle effects, so these are different again. You can just drag these in, and basically these are little animated things like this. So this is sparks, for example, so you can place them in the scene. We've got fire, you can place fire in, and I'll show you how to add programming script to these so that you can make them do stuff, like if you walk over the fire you can have the player take damage, etc. But that's a topic for another time. Now if you wanted to toggle these little sprites here, the little things that you can click on like the arrow and stuff, you just press the key G, letter G, and then this is how the map will look in game, basically G for game. So you can press G to toggle all the things that you don't need to see inside of the actual game itself. So that's just a little tip for you. Inside of the starter content, you see we've got props. So these are a bunch of different what we call static meshes. They got the little blue turquoise bar at the bottom, so just like the doors and stuff. You can see we got couches. It's just different stuff for you to play around with. You know, statue, you might want to scale it up. So you've got location, rotation, and scale down here. If I scale that up to a 6, for example, that's another way you can change the size of things or rotate them, just like that. Or like I said before, W, E, and R, like that. So lots of different static meshes that you can play with. And then you've got textures here as well. Don't worry about that, we'll go into that another time. So that's just a basic overview of how to build a scene, okay? Now there are a few more things that you can put into the environment like this. If you go up to window up here and then click on place actors, it'll create this window. It usually creates it over on the side like this, and so what I like to do is, rather than keeping it there, I like to drag it up here, but that's just personal preference. You can keep that wherever you want. And there's a few little tabs up here for different things that you can add into the game. So probably the main ones to show you now are lights. So as you can see, we have a sun in the sky, so that's just come with the demo map. If you wanted to add different lights in, you can click on this one here, this the point light one. We have spotlight, rectangular light, skylight. I'm going to show you the point light, and that's just basically an empty light source. Now if I press G, you can see the little light bulb icon goes, but you can see that it's lighting up the wall just like that. And so you can change the color of this. You can change the intensity of this, and just in a minute, or maybe I'll show you right now, is you can create lights to come like from actual, you know, lamps and things that you would expect to emit a light source. You can just add them in the world like that, but let's I'm going to show you how to create what is called a blueprint in Unreal Engine, which is basically an amalgamation of different components like lights and meshes and things like that. So if I create in my content browser, if I just right click and create a new folder and then just call that blueprints and then pressing enter to open that up, if you right click in here and create what's called a blueprint class, you can read that little with that tooltip there if you're interested in what a blueprint actually is, and you can read the different types here. But just to keep it simple, I'm just going to click on actor at the top. We can explain all of this as we go on. I'm just going to call this BP underscore, you can call it whatever you want, but I'm going to call it BP underscore my light, okay? And then just double clicking that to open it up, and then basically you get this window here which has a lot of different settings which we won't go into right now because we don't need to just yet, but I'm just going to show you how to make a basic light. So if you go up here to this add section, we have an add tab where we can say add a static mesh, and then down here in the static mesh option, I'm just going to search for what I think is called a lamp, SM underscore lamp wall. And as you can see, you can navigate this little viewport here using the same WASD and mouse controls. You can see that this is like a little lamp that sits on a wall. So if I go up here and press compile and then Control Shift S to save and then just close that down, in the content browser here, pressing Control and space to open that up, I can now drag my little lamp into the world, okay? So I'm going to put one down here and I'm going to press E to rotate that across like this, and then I'm just going to maybe turn off my snapping and then hit W. I'm just going to move that forward so that it's sort of sitting nicely on the edge just there, and then I'm going to Alt and drag across just to create another one over there. So we've got two of them, okay? Now that we've got two of these, if we edit them in the blueprint, so I'll open up the blueprint again, BP underscore my light, pressing Control space to open the content browser and then double clicking this to open it up. If we go to the viewport up here, there's a few different tabs, but click on the viewport so you can see it. And then if we click add and go point light, you can see we've got an actual light source in here now. So I'm just going to drag that up a little bit so that it looks like it's coming from the correct place inside the lamp, and then Control, and then I'm just going to drag this tab up to here like that so we can navigate between the light and the test map. And now you can see we've got an actual light source in there. So to get it looking nice, I'm just going to move it forward a little bit, sort of bring it up like that, and then we can see how that looks in here. You can see we've got some light sources now. You can fiddle with it to make it look nice, maybe make it a little bit more mellow, a bit less intense, etc. But you can see this is our first custom-made sort of blueprint. So we've got some light sources here, and if we wanted to change the color of it, we can make them a little bit warmer, just like that. Control save. You can see now that they're a little bit more yellow. Okay, so that's just to show you that you're not restricted to just the static meshes. You can sort of combine them together. So we could add, you know, a different particle effect. Maybe we could put a little fire in there if we wanted it to look more like a torch rather than an electronic light, etc. So that is a little introduction to how to create a blueprint. And so now I'll just quickly go over the other types of things that you can place in the scene. We've got, so we had a look at the point light, we can have a look at the spotlight as well. So that's basically what it sounds like. It's a spotlight, it's sort of directional light. And there's a rectangular light as well, which we're not going to go into because that's not that relevant. But if you go through here, you've got different shapes that you can use for building level geometry, so cubes, spheres, whatever. And there's another one here over here, which is literally called geometry. This one can be interesting for blocking out different shapes in your level. So if you place a box in, for example, you can set the size of it down here to be sort of specific measurements. And then if we, for example, added a second box down there, if you scroll down in the details panel here, you can change the brush type to be subtractive rather than additive. And now if I superimpose them, you can see this is a good way for you to create like different tunnels and shapes. So if I go to the y-axis and make that a little bit longer, you can see now we've got like a sort of a tunnel going through there. And so you can do the same thing with cylinders. You can add in stairs and things as well. It's a good way to make different levels. Now it looks a little bit ugly, but you can see that we've got this little spot here from the materials. So if we go down here and click on the material thing, we can scroll through and see the different shapes that we've got. Maybe let's look for like a stone one or something. So now you can see we've got like cobblestone on the top. And if you wanted to select all of them, all the faces, you just select the brush. This is called a brush, a BSP brush, and then hit Shift and then B, another hotkey for you, and then go down to the materials. You can see it's got cobblestone, and then I might add in the second slot, which is the default one just there. You can see that checkerboard grid is the default material. We'll make that cobblestone as well. Oh, it looks like it was a different type of cobblestone, but now it's changed all the surfaces to cobblestone. So there you go. Now we've got like a little cobblestone thing, and obviously the interior is a different brush. So you know, we can do the same thing there and make that pink if we wanted to. So now we have a pretty pink little tunnel that we can't quite fit through because we're too tall. But that's just another way for you to make level geometry. So now that you've got an idea of the basic sort of controls for how to place stuff down in a level, your task for today is going to be to create a platforming challenge. And so just to quickly show you what that might look like, I'm going to open my content browser down here and just turn on my filter for static meshes. Or actually, before I turn that on, I'm going to go to starter content and then static meshes, so that we've got all of the different meshes here from the starter content pack. Or yeah, no, we'll work with that. And then I'm just going to place down a few cubes. Maybe I'm going to scale this one so that it's like 4 and 4 like that. And then I'm just going to duplicate it and add another one. Maybe make this one a little bit taller like that. And then another one over here, a little bit taller again. And then another one over here. I'm using Alt and dragging to do this, by the way. And you can see now we've got a bit of a platforming challenge going on. So here we go, just like that, just like that. Can jump up and get to a finish. So I wonder if we've got, I might add one more, make that 4 tall. And then if I open my content browser again and go back to all, I wonder if we've got anything that looks like a flag. Nah. Is there like anything that looks like a finish? Nah. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. I've just clicked on all just there and filtering for static meshes. I'm just going to find something that we're going to use as an endpoint. So I'm just scrolling through. I'll show you how to add more assets to your game in the future so that you've got different things that you can place down. Maybe what we could use for the exit here is we have this one here. It says start location handle indicator, whatever the hell that is. So I'm just going to drag that up here and then just lock the aspect ratio and then scale that up to be like 6, and then that's just going to be the finish. Okay, so we spawn inside the game. You can see that thing is floating up in the sky. That's just telling us where we need to go. So you can make the finish look however you want, but yeah, your task for today is to make some platforming challenge with a start and an end point like that. Okay, looks like we can jump through this one, which is interesting. It looks like it's always rendering. Oh no, now we're hitting it. It's just a little bit of a funny shape. No, it looks like it's always rendering in front of the camera, but maybe my depth perception is just a little bit off. It's a bit of a funny shape, I think. Yeah, anyway. So that's your task for today. Create a platforming challenge of your choice. Okay, so just to wrap this up, we've got a nice little game here. We've got a nice little environment with a platforming challenge. We've got a player that can move around. But what if you wanted to send this to like a friend or something for them to play it? Obviously, you don't want to have to send them the whole Unreal Engine software because that's a lot of gigabytes and it's unnecessary. But you want them to be able to play the game. And so what we have to do is what's called packaging. And so what we do is you package this work that we've done here into an executable file, and then you can put that on a USB, put that on a hard drive, or send it to somebody via like Google Drive or something. And then they're able to play the game without the Unreal Engine editor. And so just to do that, so if we wanted to package this stuff that we've done, go up here to platforms, scroll down to Windows or whatever operating system you're using, and then just click package project, and then it opens up this window. You can see we're in local disk, C drive, Unreal Engine, and then this is the project name that we created at the start of the video. We're just going to package it inside of here. Okay, so just click select folder, and then you can see we get a little thing in the bottom right, packaging project for Windows. Now, depending on how much stuff you've got in your game, in your project, this can take a little while, but just let it go, and then we'll be back in a minute when that's done. Okay, so that just finished. A little thing popped up in the bottom right there which said packaging complete with a little green tick. And so now, if I open my content browser with control space, and I'll just turn off all my filters and whatever, if you just right click anywhere, if you right click on one of the folders, for example, and then say show in Explorer, that'll open up a new window. In my case, it looks like this. And then, so this here, this big C drive, Unreal Engine, Beginner Unreal, this is where your project is. And so you can see there's a bunch of different stuff in here which is related to the actual engine itself. This down here, Beginner Unreal.u project, that's what you would double click if you wanted to open the Unreal Engine. If you wanted to open the packaged game that we just packaged for Windows, is you click on Windows just here, and then you've got Beginner Unreal.exe. This is the game. This is your first game that you've just made. And so I'm going to close down Unreal Engine now. Okay, and this is in my Explorer. Oops, what's just happened? Computer freaking out a bit. Now, if I go to Windows and then launch the executable, we'll get a little thing about it's blocked some firewall or whatever, but if we could just click Allow Access, you can see we've got a game in here. Now, we're in the wrong map, which is something that you noticed. If you remember, this was the third person template map, but as you can see, like, we've got a playable game now that's running without the editor itself, and so we can't actually exit this because we didn't actually program any controls to be able to exit it, which is a little bit awkward. But I'm just going to hit the Windows key and then go down here and just click close window to just close that down, and then go back to Beginner Unreal, and I'm just going to reboot the project. So that was our first play test of a packaged build. But I'm just going to quickly show you how to change the startup map. So if you go up here to edit and then go to project settings, maps and modes, and we've got an editor startup map and a game default startup map. If we change the game default startup map to, what did we call it? My test map. There you go. Close that. Platforms, Windows, package project, enter. And so now it's just going to repackage the game, but it's going to change the map that the game opens to on default to be the one that we just created. So we'll just give that a minute. Alright, there we go. Packaging complete. Didn't take that long. Now, opening up our project folder again, Windows, and then this is our executable. So just launching that. As you can see, now we're inside our level. So, you know, we're running around. This is a playable game now. You could send this to somebody. If you wanted to send it to them, you would just have to copy the whole Windows folder and then just send it over, put it on a hard drive or whatever, and now people can launch it and they can play your game. You can put this on the App Store and make some money. Like, obviously you'd want to make it, you know, look the way that you want it to and control the way that you want it to. But yeah, this is your very first game, so congrats. Now I'm just going to hit Windows again to close that because we didn't program quick controls, but we can do that another time when we look at blueprints. So that's it. That's all for today. Now, just to quickly wrap up, there's going to be more videos like this. I will find a place to put them. They'll either be on YouTube or Facebook or in our Facebook group or somewhere so that you can watch through in a series and build upon what you're learning. Each one will have tasks and things that you can go away and try. If you need help with any of the stuff that we did here, like if you can't figure something out, you can contact me or contact you know, other people who are in the group via Facebook, or we'll figure out some way for everybody to be able to communicate. And of course there are sessions at Gamers Resort at the moment on every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. and they're free, so anybody can come along. You can follow through the videos there, or you can watch them at home in advance and then, you know, give them a try on your computer at home and then come into the in-person sessions and then ask for personal help there. So on those days I'm going to be just floating around checking in with people, and you can ask me questions. You can, you know, maybe you've got your own game that you're working on and there's something that you're stuck and can't figure out how to do it, so that would be a good time to ask me. And yeah, that's it for today. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Use the Facebook group and whatever, or come into a session on Friday, and yeah, hopefully see you there. See ya.